Hello, we are the Salon Sleuths. My name is Melissa,
And my name is Leslie.
and we are two women from the Pacific Northwest. We are both curious about paranormals, spirit guides, ghosts, past lives.
We are suspicious about true crime, disappearances, and strange phenomenons. We are open to learning about the supernatural and all things we don't understand.
Together, we're opinionated with a splash of smartass. Join us to learn. And stay curious, stay suspicious, and stay open.
Follow Salon Sleuths on all major podcast platforms.
Hello, Salon Sleuth fans, and Leslie and April. We have
A special
a
guest
visitor today. Hi, April. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Okay, now April, you're a cousin?
Yes. Michael's
Okay.
cousin. Michael's cousin.
Michael cousin. Okay, you're adorable.
She is.
So Leslie was just starting to talk about the Salon Sleuths debacle this week because wait, she's looking confused.
Yeah, what was it?
Hello, we recorded last week and you
yeah.
deleted the recording, which I have to say is so something I would do. And I was telling my husband about it, that I was laughing. And he's like, oh my God, you would totally have done that 10 times since you guys started recording. I'm like, I know.
Well, I backed it up to the computer, the ones that we had saved to the cloud.
Yes.
Because it kept saying my cloud was full. So I was like, okay, I will clean that out. But I had done that before our last show. So when I logged in, I just transferred everything to the thing, not realizing I hadn't backed up our last show. So
yeah. And here's the thing. Nobody understands the cloud.
Nobody
understood.
What is it?
What is it?
Well, and so maybe are we not supposed to talk about the last show? Maybe
I know
divine intervention is maybe we're not even supposed to talk about that lady.
I know.
Maybe
okay, so
we have lots of other things we can talk about. I'm
so
sure.
Here's the weird thing. I mean, I've told you guys all that Leslie does all the heavy lifting and everything, and I just get to show up and talk. But it literally, I would not trust myself with this because I have deleted my entire cloud. Well, actually, my husband technically did it, but I was needing his help. We deleted my whole cloud, and it had all of my AutoCAD drawings for 10 years on there. And I ended up going through Apple and all this stuff. And they're like, oh, sorry, we don't back up the cloud anymore for 7 days or whatever. It was a whole mess. I mean, a literal mess. So I feel for you, and you've apologized 5 million times, and I don't need an apology because you know what, that shit just happens. I would have already done it.
I feel like I wasted an hour of your life, and I'm sorry.
Oh my God. It's not the first hour I'm going to waste.
Plus, I had the craziest dream. I already told April, but I had this dream that my dad was better and he was coming home.
Oh.
And I was like, oh crap. We closed his bank account. He has no clothes. He has no car. Someone's living in his house. I'm trying to a moment of panic of I need to get him some, how am I going to get a car down there? Do I just go down there and buy a car? And then how do I tell him about his bank account? It was weird. And then I texted my sister and she's like, oh, that's weird. Right before Father's Day.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Weird.
You know.
Okay. So also, you remember our friend Jared from Adventures with a Purpose?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you follow them at all?
Have you heard of him? No. Okay.
So
has he been to Florida, you think?
Well, I don't know about Florida. I didn't look, but his one that I found that popped up on my feed yesterday. Oh my God, Leslie, you've got to watch it. It's a woman in Texas who went missing 30 years ago, and they didn't report her missing until 10 years after that. There must have been some family history, but because they kind of didn't get worried, the fact that she was throwing her son a birthday party in Texas and she just never showed up. And so they didn't think it was that odd until days later, because apparently she did this. So there must have been some history, right? To not think it's odd immediately. But long story short, they didn't start looking for her until 10 years after she'd been missing. And then it's like a whole debacle where the police, after they said she was missing, they changed it to a not to a missing persons. They changed it to not a runaway, but something where like they suspected that she just left on her own. And so, anyways, this sister was so concerned about her. She finally got connected. Oh, she went to go buy something off Facebook Marketplace and, met this woman somewhere in a parking lot. And this woman's like, I have to tell you, I'm getting like strong sensation from your sister, blah, 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 blah. She's in deep water somewhere. She's in the deepest part of the water near the dam. Like, tells her all this information. So she gets adventures with a purpose out there. They find the car. And hold on, full body chills. I just got them. The bridge in which they found the car right off of, oh my gosh, I got chills so bad. They found happy birthday balloons tied to the, like tied to the sign, and they thought it was a memorial. So they went back to the balloons. They looked at the balloons. They were just stuck, like they had blown away from someone, and they just stuck right there on the railing where the frigging car was found, you guys.
So that's so weird. This happened to April about her brother.
No.
He went somewhere. You tell the story.
Well, I just went somewhere, and which one are you talking about? Actually?
Well, you went like, I think it was like a facial thing. You went in and
oh yes. So what happened was I went in. Actually, I had a client, and I was just.
Oh, it was your client.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a facial. Like
yeah.
this
Okay.
So I was her
person.
esthetician for that appointment, and I went in, and I was, just I was asking her history, going through everything. And then she started to change, and I could feel like this different energy in the room. And she just, all of a sudden, like, I'm behind her because I started on her back, some spots that she needed taken care of. And she's like, do you have a brother? And I was like, first thing I did was look at my wrist to see if I wore my bracelet that I wear.
Yeah.
And that says his name and everything. And I was like, I've never been asked that question since everything happened, since I lost him. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I did. She's like, I know. So just so you know, he's super healthy. He looks pretty much the same. He's just like a little more glowy. He has really dark hair. He kind of combs it to the side and has a little bit of spike here. He's surrounded by people, like, and I'm like, what kind of people? Like good people or bad people? And she's like, good people, like teachers, like helping him understand what happened and where he is. And don't worry, he's going to be fine. And he's always going to look over you. And I was like, and so I continued this whole thing. And I'm like, I'm sorry, is this hurting? Because it's IPL. So it's a quick rubber band snap of the skin to like diminish spots and tighten skin.
Yeah.
And her hands were so like, just like stiff. Instead of just relaxed, they were just stiff. And she was just in another place, like bringing me all this beautiful information about my brother. So of course I was trying to hold back my tears, and I'm just trying to understand, but like throughout my life and throughout things, like people come to me and they give me these messages that I'm so grateful for. So anyways,
yeah. She's got lots of stuff
Wow.
like that. Like, yeah, it was crazy.
And I'm forever grateful for her. And yeah, so it was and it happened very quick. It was like only 3 months after.
And then what, you see a sign when you see your brother. What is that sign?
Yes, I see the number 57 all the time.
Oh, interesting. Is that related to him in some way? His birthday, 5/7, or?
The only thing I can think of is like I was always into numbers, and growing up and through high school, 12 was my favorite number. Okay. And if you add
she sounds like me right now.
If you add 5 and 7 together, it's 12, and there was 2 of us. But then if you take the 1 away, there's only 1 now. So like, but then I'm like, that's his humor, like in a way. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe that number was just there for him and it just worked out. I don't know.
She just sees it all the time.
I see it all the time in very random places. Like, why?
And that's the weird thing about that is it doesn't matter what it is, you know it.
Yeah.
And the other weird thing is that if you believe this, he knew you'd get it.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
So he's like, this will be our number.
Yeah.
So it's our number. And like, he's always comforting me. And so that I'm just grateful for all
like
that.
throughout the day, like all the days she'll be like, oh, look, it's 10:57. Or like, oh, look at the license plate has 57. Like it's always like.
Yeah. Like when I landed in Portland.
Yeah.
The first license plate I just looked at, the end was 57. And I was like, okay, thanks. Like,
Yeah.
I
Thanks
supposed to
for
be here.
letting
I
me
had
know
a little
it's
bit
supposed
of
to be it.
problem landing because I hadn't been back.
She
like,
took a
in this
nap
area.
and she woke up right over where he was
When
when
he
when
passed
it
away.
happened.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh,
is
that
he
is
the one who was murdered?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
Thank you. But
Oh my gosh.
he's not here physically anymore, but spiritually he is. So
Clearly. And I find that very interesting. And for those skeptics out there, I'm not a skeptic, but I can see how those skeptics would go, oh, that's a big tangent. But the fact that you would see that and know that immediately, like I have this weird thing for some reason. My dad and I were not that close.
Mhm.
So this all sounds so weird to me, but I've had interactions with him since he passed. And I feel like when hummingbirds are around,
Mhm.
that's him.
Yeah.
And out of all the things that you could see in a day,
Mhm.
why would I immediately know it was a hummingbird?
Mhm.
Why would you know it's the 57 and then have some scenario in your head why it's 57? Like
You just know it.
You just know.
I was going to say, you just know it. And to make it up out of whole cloth, I guess it's possible, but I don't know. Why wouldn't I think? I don't know. I just find that odd that I just knew that immediately.
Mhm.
And it just felt like that was the thing. So anyways, I fully believe in that. And I am so happy that you get that message a lot. And to the point of the story, kind of looping back, those balloons were not a mistake, that they were
Yeah.
had flown onto the side rail and gotten attached right in the spot where her car was. And kind of back to my point.
But they remembered that 30 years later?
Well, so that was the thing. After she'd found that, after she got in touch with that Facebook person that said these things and gave her more information as to where the car would be, then she was able to bring Jared and his team, and he canvassed this whole dam area, couple different areas. And I just think for a guy and for somebody who kind of fell into this, he just started finding like weird stuff in the waters, right?
So he was spent, but he was cleaning out the rivers.
He was just going, yeah.
That's in the
Like,
rivers.
yeah.
And then he started
Accumulate.
recovering cars and people.
Yeah, like if you look at his postings, like it started out like finding phones and guns and just shit you'd find in the water when you're down there with a metal detector and scuba gear or whatever. And now he's like pulling missing loved ones out of the water after 30 years.
So did the car go over the dam? What happened?
Well, so I didn't hear that part of it because life got in the way and I had to turn it off. But they did recover her car and her, but I didn't hear how she got there and if it was foul play. I would assume probably not by the sounds of things. But yeah, I need to actually finish it. But I was so blown away by that. And to your guys' point, we talk about these things that certainly could be coincidences. The balloons could have just flown there and been there ironically, but I don't think so. And quite frankly, I don't think Jared thinks so, because he did in his video, he's talking about the balloons that they find, and he does a little rewind to, and she was going to her son's birthday party when she was, when she went missing. It's like that isn't a mistake.
Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
30 years ago, they found the balloons by the railing, or just recently the balloons were there? Okay,
recently.
so
These are
different.
new ass balloons.
That's why I was like, okay. I was thinking 30 years ago they saw that, but they didn't put it together. And then I was like, how did they figure that out? But I didn't know what you're saying. Yeah,
No,
that
these
is
are new.
Yeah,
these are new balloons.
Yeah. Okay,
Mylar and everything. And there was a big bunch of them. It wasn't like a little bit of balloons either. It wasn't like, one little flimsy balloon. No, they were blown up. And because when they were, doing the water find and searching in the water, they thought that maybe, someone had died there on the side of the road. People put balloons on a little memorial.
Yeah.
That's what they thought it was when they first went up, and they just, boated up to it. And the guy got onto the bank and pulled the things. He's like, no, these are just balloons sitting here. And oh, by the way, they're happy birthday balloons.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So if we talk to him now, like would he say that his intuition has increased? in
Well,
seeing those kind of signs. Like, I wonder
right.
if we
Right.
could connect with him to ask him those kind
Well,
of things.
I was thinking about reaching out to him because I was just blown away by this last night, but obviously I didn't have time to get a hold of him and
Which
get
is
him
so
on
funny
for the
because
call.
Michael has ran into videos. I told you this. He'll be watching videos and he's like, "Oh, this guy he pulls." I'm like, "Oh, is that Adventures with a Purpose?" He's been on our show, Michael. Like,
Oh.
and it was like, because we've been doing this for over a year now,
Yeah.
and it was earlier on,
Yeah.
and it's just funny that Michael just tumbled across, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
came across, tumbled. I don't
Yeah.
even know what the word
Came
is.
across.
Came across
Well,
these
I'm
videos.
sure
I was
that
watching and
stumbled.
stumbled. That's it. Not
stumbled. I'm
Stumbled,
sure
stumbled.
that is going to happen with my son because I've told him a couple times, dude, you need to watch this guy's videos. It's
Yeah.
amazing, blah, blah, blah. And he shows no interest in anything I send him.
Yeah,
If someone else sends it,
it'll
it's
pop up
cool.
in
But yeah,
sometime.
yeah. So
That's funny.
yeah. But he does he has started liking country music, which so I've been sending him like old Willie Nelson songs, Travis Tritt,
I really like Kane Brown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Sam Hunt too, but
Yeah,
I've
me
heard
too.
I've heard he's not that great in concert because I
Oh.
really want to take my daughter, but
I
yeah.
don't know. You let your own opinions matter, not what other people.
Well, no, I've heard he just doesn't have a good stage presence, like a stage. He's not putting on a great show yet, and I think he's young. I think he just kind of started out. So yeah. So our missing um, podcast was on Diane Downs.
Yes.
So I don't know. Are we even going to talk about that today?
Well, the one thing I do want to talk about from the last show that I deleted was the skeleton that was found in the Lake Oswego house.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I was like, that's so sad. Somebody died and nobody found them, right?
Yes.
It was actually a construction worker was doing some work in the house, found the skeleton, called the police. They found out it was a teaching tool that the guy, it was a real skeleton, but he had gotten it like legally as a teaching tool for the classes that he was teaching. Like must have been biology or some sort of medical class. So it wasn't like an actual body they found in a house. It was a that was found, but it was like a display type of thing. But
so
the
last
construction
episode
workers freaked out thinking that there was a body in the house. And
okay, so last episode you came
Yes.
with, oh my God, this full-on skeleton was found in this house. This person must have died. And you and I were talking about how wouldn't there be a smell? Like wouldn't
there be mail accumulated at the house?
Yes.
And then this was a fear that my dad would die in his house by himself, like all this stuff. And it's just really funny. It was after I got off, I was like, oh God, I need to add this to the back of the podcast. And now I don't even have to because it was just a skeleton that was for school that was found by the construction workers who freaked out thinking that this guy was hiding a body.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, I know that our whole episode was meant to be a follow-up to Crazy Moms.
Yes.
And Diane Downs. And I've thought about her a lot the last week since we recorded, going, do I really think she did this? And the only reason I say this is because I did a follow-up that her brother still supports her and still thinks that there was this scraggly haired man and there was something having to do with the Eugene DA. And I don't know.
Melissa, let's do this. She doesn't know who Diane Downs is.
Oh, you don't?
Let's tell her this.
Okay.
Okay.
Story.
Let's
tell this story.
And then she can ask the questions, and if we have answers that we can answer them.
All right. So why don't you go? Why don't you start?
So Diane Downs were they originally from Arizona?
Yes.
Okay, so she met her high school sweetheart.
Actually, I think it was California, Arizona, because her husband, her and her husband,
Oregon. She met her high school boyfriend. Can you hear the dogs?
Yes.
Is it bad?
Are they outside of your bedroom?
They're out in the living room. Okay, so Diane Downs, she met her high school boyfriend, husband, or whatever, but she had a problem with sticking to one person.
Okay.
And they had 3 children, but the third one was a result of a extramarital affair. And we don't know if he knew that right away. Is that correct?
We don't really know, but we know that ultimately that was the reason they divorced.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she was working down in Arizona, and was hooking up with a coworker, which she loved. Like she was head over heels for this guy. He made it very clear that he didn't want kids or to help somebody else raise kids. And so she moves up to Oregon and she was like thinking, oh, he's going to follow her, chase her up there. And he was actually thinking he couldn't wait for her to get over the state lines. Like he was ready for her to be gone. So she gets up to Oregon.
And I think she was the kind of woman that needed a man all the time. You know, those ladies that they can't go without.
Love that attention.
Yeah.
So she was down in Springfield? Where was she?
Yeah. Springfield and Eugene.
Yeah, down in that area. And she got a job as a postal worker.
Okay.
And how did that work? So one time she became a surrogate because the one thing she was really good is having babies. So she became a surrogate, had a baby. I think she got $10,000. And then she went on a drive. She went with her friend. Her friend called her. No, so her friend calls and she's like, hey, I saw an ad for a horse. Like when she was working in the postal service, she saw a magazine or something that had an ad for a horse that was for sale. And she was going to take it to her friend because her friend was looking for a horse.
Okay.
It turns out her friend had already bought a horse. And so she was going to take her kids to go look at this horse. And then you said she was going to stop at another person's house to get some paperwork.
No, you said that.
I did that.
It was this whole story she concocted. Yeah, it was this.
Yeah,
it was her alibi.
Or something at somebody else's house. Given she has 3 young kids, they're like 4, 7, and 10, or 8 or 9 or something like that. They're young.
Yeah, under 10.
Yeah, she leaves at like 9:30 at night to go to this girl's house to give her the article or whatever, see the horse, pick up this other paperwork or whatever. And then on her way home, she sees a road she's never taken before. So she goes on that road and like it's desolate. There's not a lot of lights out there. And she's
very rural. She
says there's a man, a scraggly haired man on the side of the road waving her down. She pulls over because, she's so nice and she's picked up hitchhikers before.
Yes.
So she pulls
Why wouldn't you pick up a hitchhiker with 3 small kids in the backseat? Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
A desolate road where there's no lights. Whatever. So she pulls over and she's like, what do you need? And he immediately is like, I want your car. And so they have a struggle. He reaches in, shoots all the kids, and then shoots her in the arm. She fake throws her keys and then jumps in the car and drives off. And she says, like a bat out of hell to the hospital. Well, it turns out they get to the hospital. Her middle child dies. And I heard somewhere that she struggled with her middle child, wasn't really fond of her. That wasn't her favorite child. She drives right away. Her son, who was behind her in the seat, ends up being in a wheelchair. And then the other daughter is now in a coma. The oldest daughter is now in a coma. And so they're kind of just waiting to see what happens. Meanwhile, she's telling people about this story. She's all over. Anytime she get in front of a camera, she's telling the story. Even Oprah. She's on Oprah, and she's very well spoken. She sounds like she's educated. I don't know if she actually was, but she uses these big words, and she and her story, she has an answer for everything. And then, they start questioning her more and more. They hear that her daughter's starting to kind of wake up. Every time she'd go in the room, her daughter's heart rate would go through this, so they'd have to get her back out. So there's obviously some stress when the mom would walk in the door. And then I believe once the daughter was a little bit better, I might be jumping up, but she was working with a therapist, and that she would just say if you know who did this, write it on a piece of paper, and you don't even have to tell me, just getting it out will help you, and we'll just burn it. So every session they would burn it. And eventually she just left it out and it said my mom. And so that's how
she actually testified, didn't she?
She did. Yeah. But then they were saying that she was coerced by the investigators, and that she had an answer for everything. And she was saying, then her story was changing about there must have been another person. And then she's like, then she changed her story, but she said she changed the story because, well, they're like, there's no way one person could have done it. And she's like, okay, then there must have been another person, because she was like, and it made it believable the way she was saying it. I was like, I was starting to question myself, because then
and there was a way in which the direction of her shooting herself in the arm first of all, this guy got 3 kids and they were all in critical condition. One obviously died. But they were all not well, but only grazed her in the arm.
And it showed
And
that like her middle child had opened up the passenger door at one point because there was blood splatter on the outside of on the door jamb. And so the door had been open at one point. And then the position where her son was, so they did a reenactment of the scene in the court.
Yeah.
And it was saying like, well, in order for her to get to the son, like she had to change hands because you can't go around like this. But if that child's leaning out and you shoot her again, you could easily just turn around to get to the back seat.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing she was complaining is her new car was ruined.
right.
It's
And
got
she
blood.
would always smile in front of the cameras. Anytime a
She
camera
super
was around,
happy. That
she
whole
was,
reenactment of like how she pushed the thing and she gets in the car and she bumps her arm because it's got the wound in it.
Yeah.
And she's like, that hurt almost as much as when I, and it stops.
when I was shot. Yeah. Then she stops
Whenever I
and says,
shot myself
when
or
he
something.
shot me, or shot something
Yeah.
like that. Like
Like-
almost like she started to say when I shot myself, and then she stopped.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but so before the trial, there's like the time period before you get arrested. They were still building the case, right? She's on her route for the thing. And oh, I forgot to mention too, right before she killed the kids, it was a month earlier, she had called the boyfriend down in Arizona. And they had a conversation again, probably about the kids. And it's a month later that the kids are no longer. So then she's, now that they're building a case on her, she's not in jail yet. She goes on her route and there's this guy that she's kind of had her eye on. So, and because she can get pregnant so easily, she takes a bottle of whiskey or bourbon or something and a bunch of pot and shows up at his house. Well, guess what? Now she's pregnant. And so she goes to, when they go to court, she's visibly very pregnant,
goodness.
right? So the prosecutor ends up adopting the 2 kids. Is that right, Melissa?
I'm sorry, I lost you guys for like 2 minutes. It froze. So
Darn it.
I didn't get that last part.
How did the prosecutor adopt the 2 older kids?
They did. Yes. The 2 remaining kids. I don't know if it was the 2 oldest or if there was one between there.
Well, there was the baby that was born during trial.
Yes, but that was not
adopted.
Yeah, no. It was the 2 surviving kids from the initial car shooting that he adopted. Danny was paralyzed his whole or is paralyzed, and the daughter did become maybe that's the wrong daughter. One of the daughters, either the daughter that was born while she was on trial.
That's the one that's a psychologist now.
Yes, that's the one who helps children. But the other 2
I think
lived a very quiet life.
Information about them. They're kind of
Yeah.
very private.
They really wanted to live a quiet life, and
Especially
so
after
they
all the
have.
media coverage of that.
So she goes to prison and then she escapes at one point. I think it was like a few years into her sentence. She throws a jacket or something over the fence. 18 feet, is that what you said?
Yeah, it was something tall.
Climbs up and over it, goes to a house and hangs out there. And so how they found out was like in her cell, there's like a piece of paper and it was blank. But they did the whole crayon thing and did the shit and they could see the address. So it was one of her cellmates' ex-husbands. So they go to the house. Of course, it's full of men, and she's probably enjoying all of them. But they added another like 5 years onto her sentence for that. But they also took her down to California, and she's like out of this area.
Yeah.
But that was the story of Diane Crazy Downs.
And it was huge here. Like
It was.
when it happened in what year was that? It was 86, 83, something like that.
83.
Yep, 1983, May 19th.
Yeah, it was a
I
huge
remember
deal
that.
here. And she is one of probably the biggest, I think she's the biggest child killer, like mom child killer, as the stories go. I don't know that there's any other
What was the other lady? She had her 2 boys and she drowned them in her car. What was her name?
That was you mean the gal in Florida or whatever on the East Coast?
Do you remember that lady's name? She put him in the car and then she said
Linda
took her car.
and then
I
the
don't-
car rolled in.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't remember the name, but I remember.
I want It starts with a SCH. I actually had that one last week when we recorded because I had looked up other moms who've done
Susan.
that. Susan, that's it. Susan.
Susan what? Susan Smith?
Yes, Susan Smith. Maybe that's right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, the other case I would really love to talk about, I think her name is Darlene. Uh, what is the last name? I want to say Cartier, but it's not Cartier. It's Juice. God, I can't think of this name. I'll think of it. I really like her. She supposedly killed two of her 3 boys. God, what is her name?
So
We'll
Susan
talk about her.
Smith,
Susan
Susan
Smith.
Smith, Diane Downs is the second one on there. The other one that you're thinking about, is that the bathtub one?
No,
Oh yeah,
she.
I remember that one too. That was like East Coast, right?
Yes.
You remember the lady here in Oregon at the beach who stabbed her daughter so many times? I think her daughter lived.
Oh, that one sounds familiar, but not sure. Let's see. Susan Smith, October 1994. Mary Beth Tyning, never heard of that one. That was in 1972 through 1985. Oh my gosh, she killed all of her kids in suspicious ways.
Rudy, it's Reuter. How do you say that?
Routier, maybe.
Then Diane Stoddett,
That one's a good one. That's a good one.
Amber Pastor, Diane Downs, Andrea Yates. That was the one I was thinking about. Remember, she killed her kids in
she
the
drowned.
bathtub.
Yeah.
Yeah. Christy Sheets.
Mm.
Oh gosh. She immediately, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Okay, this is me surfing the web here. Christy Sheets called her family into the living room for a family meeting in June of 2016. I've never heard of this one. She's beautiful, by the way. Hours after husband Jason Sheets told her he planned to divorce her, she immediately pulled the weapon out and pointed it at Mr. Sheets and wanted to blame him. You made me do this. You're making me do this. Fort Bend County Sheriff Troy Nels previously told People. This is on People magazine, by the way. Good source for all good things. But she didn't shoot Jason. Instead, Sheets chased her daughters, Madison, 17, and Taylor, 22, into the street, killing them before authorities arrived and fatally shot her. As for why she didn't shoot Jason, she said she wanted him to suffer.
That's
Okay, Megan Huntsman, a Utah mom, admitted in 2014 to killing 6 of her newborn babies soon after
I saw
giving
that one just
birth.
recently.
Oh my gosh, between 1996 and 2006.
That's Utah? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just read that one.
Carola Arno.
The husband didn't know either.
Oh gosh, that's horrible. Carola Arno, before killing herself last June, Carola, 40, fatally shot her 2 children, daughter 10 and son Noah, 4, in their Pennsylvania home. The couple was in the midst of a bitter child custody battle. Oh my gosh. Jessica Edens went on a killing spree in 2017 before turning the gun on herself. Oh, how can people do this? Sarah Lynn Kruger. This past July, a California jury sentenced Sarah Lynn Kruger, 27, and her boyfriend, 29, to life in prison for the 2014 torture and murder of Kruger's daughter, Kaylee. And she was 3 years old? Oh my God. They found her in her bed, partially frozen. An autopsy revealed that Kylie had 41 distinguishable injuries all over her body and had died 2 days before she was found. She'd been kept in the couple's freezer for several hours after her death.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Stephanie Smith. This is the last one, I promise. Alabama, 4-year-old Zadie Wren Cooper died on July 7th. Shortly after her death, Zadie's mother, Stephanie Diane Smith, mourned her daughter's death on Instagram. I wish you'd taken me with you, she wrote. I didn't want to be here without you. The medical examiner was unable to determine the cause of death, but in April 2017, Smith walked into a police station and confessed to smothering her daughter with a pillow, saying she had mental issues and she'd been off her medication. Ah, that's
Well,
horrible.
I'm going to change subjects because that's so sad. But
But you're going to change the subject.
I'm changing the subject.
Okay, do it.
April and I are going to go ghost hunting July 8th at Wolf Creek
Ooh,
down south.
outside?
No, it's in a hotel.
Okay, okay,
That whole area is supposed to be a little paranormal, and we're going with the Warthers.
okay, good.
And then we're also going to the Oregon Vortex.
Ooh, okay.
Know anything about that place?
No.
Well,
But-
John and Michelle had gone to the Wolf Creek before, and they had some crazy experiences. They used a ghost box, and it said Vivian, like the name Vivian, which is super
Their
crazy.
daughter.
That's not like a name that you hear very often.
No.
And
Was this before they had Vivian?
was this when? What?
Was this before they had their daughter Vivian?
No, Vivian was with them.
Oh God.
And it's like a radio that just changes stations really quickly, and you have to listen carefully for words that it's saying. And it said Vivian, like very clearly they said. So we're gonna go.
Are they gonna you're gonna record this time?
We are. So we may even go live that night.
Okay, okay.
And so if people want to, so it's July 8th, mark your calendars, but
Yes.
I don't know if we'll do Instagram or Facebook, which one's easier to do that on.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the Oregon Vortex on the next day on our way home on the 8th. That's what they gave me for my birthday. So,
Oh, that's fun.
and the Oregon Vortex, I guess, is like an old Indian land.
Oh.
And there's this house that supposedly was in a different location, and it got knocked down to its current location. They said maybe during a flood. And the house is crooked. To me, it looks like it was like from the pictures, it looks like it's built crooked, but I don't know if that's true. So everything's kind of wonky. They say like balls roll up, but then an old FBI investigator had gone to it. I read this article, and it said that is just like an illusion.
Optical illusion.
Really rolling up. But one thing he did say, there's one area where it appears that people are shorter than they actually are at different spots. And what it said was, he did determine that there is a 2-degree difference between the two locations, although their height is a 16th degree difference. So it doesn't make sense. He's like, I don't understand why that one's the way it is, but supposedly things are just wonky there. And the one thing that he did say is like, when they have like horses that come up, they just stop. They will not go on that land. They'll just stop and then turn around and go somewhere else. And they're saying like maybe like magnetic plates or something underneath there. But it'll be an interesting thing. We'll probably.
When's your birthday?
What?
When's your birthday?
It was in May.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thanks.
Did I wish you a happy birthday? I don't think I
think
wished
you
you.
did.
What day is your birthday?
It was May 25th.
Okay.
Same with Ella.
Oh, wow. You had a daughter on your birthday?
I did. I didn't get
Wow.
any cake, and they didn't tell me that. Because I had C-section, right? So you can't eat that day. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, I get to have,
You couldn't eat afterwards?
no, after surgery, like that, no. You have to like fart first. Right? You have to make sure your organs
Yeah,
are
you have
moving.
to have your bowel sounds back.
Yeah, you have to like gurgling in your stomach and stuff.
Dude, after Maya, I didn't have that, but I didn't have a C-section. I was like, food, I need food.
No.
Well, I also have something to tell you.
Tell me.
Not about your birthday or farting or having babies, but you know that this month is Pride Month, right?
Yes.
And we really hadn't done anything in regards to that because I'm horrible about knowing months and days and all that stuff. But I did want to do a little something and a shout out for Pride Month. This is especially, we've talked a lot about Oregon and being a little racially unaware, not diverse, all that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of proud of Oregon and their legislature this month, or actually last month. So on May 13th, I wanted to tell you that the Oregon House passed a Senate Bill 704 without any amendment, and it was a 54-0 vote. So that means that 54 out of the people, so it was unanimous, that they voted to pass this bill. The bill was essentially barring any suspect from claiming that they discovered that a person's sexual orientation or gender identity um, caused them to use physical force to attack or to harm someone else. So, Oregon, in doing so, also, I should say that the Senate had passed this bill in April, and only one person voted against it. He's Republican Dallas Hurd of Roseburg was the only opponent. So out of the House and the Senate of Oregon's legislature, only one person, a Republican from Roseburg, voted against this bill. So I'm really proud of that. But Oregon has now joined 13 other states with similar laws.
Okay,
Um,
explain to me what that means exactly.
so that means that so if I found out you were gay or transgender or something, I could have used the defense that, well, I was surprised by this. I didn't know. I was shocked. I was feeling threatened, whatever. And so I attacked you and hurt you, killed you, whatever, maybe murder, maybe it comes to play for some reason in second degree murder, which I think is the one where it wasn't premeditated. First degree is premeditated. Second is it wasn't premeditated, but I murdered you. So people were using that defense that, oh, well, I was, surprised and found out they were whatever, and then I killed them. So no longer is that a justification in the state
like
of
a
Oregon.
guy on a date with a chick.
Yeah.
And
Finds
it's
out
not a
maybe
chick.
it's transgender. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So this bill came less than a year after the stabbing death of Ajay Raquel Roan Spears, a 32-year-old transgender woman, in July of 2020. So this was during COVID. She was killed, and no one has ever been arrested in her case. But she was one of 44 deaths that year in 2020 recorded by the Human Rights Campaign of Oregon. That's just of Oregon, by the way. And most of the victims are victims of color. And this is kind of interesting. I didn't realize that we had so many transgender people in our representation of the legislation. So this person is Representative Janine Salmon, Democrat from Hillsborough, a transgender woman of color. She says, excuse me, that the passage of this bill will send a strong and proactive message to perpetrators of second degree murder. You will not be able to use this excuse on a crime simply based on who the victim is. Many of these attacks are motivated by nothing more than the victim's gender or orientation. So I was kind of proud of that. And I hope that
It said that has to even be a
It
law.
said
Like
that,
it should just
yeah.
be
Yeah.
how it is. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But slow and steady, I guess. I mean, I don't know if you heard this, but Bill Maher, I guess, was talking to younger generations, and he was like, hey, because younger generations were complaining about how not very woke we are and not very advanced. And he was saying, we've come a long way. And while I agree with him, I think we haven't come far enough in the amount of time. And I can even just say, I thought we came so far in women's rights of their own bodies and their right to, abortion and all that. And then I see what's happening in Texas and I go, we can't sit on our laurels and say, oh, we've come so far. We really haven't. Like that we're even still having a question about what a woman decides to do with her body is even up to somebody else is shocking. It should be a private decision between her and her doctor, her and her spouse, her and her, partner, whatever, but it should not be someone else's decision. And I see so many times, especially groups of men making these decisions, that just infuriates me. So, and I'm watching a new season of Handmaid's Tale. Actually, I finished it. Do you watch
Oh, yeah.
that at all?
Oh yeah,
haven't
I
seen
haven't
it.
watched the very last episode yet. But
Oh my God, it's so
Where are
good.
what episode are you on?
I already finished. I'm done.
Oh, all of it.
Done.
Okay.
Yeah, this last one that dropped this week I watched.
I would be friends with June.
Yeah, I would be
I would
friends
go
with
to
June.
war with her.
Although I feel bad for June because I hope that at some point she can get over the anger part. At some point she just has to stop being angry, and she has to make that conscious choice. But
Maybe when she
know,
gets her daughter back.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. She has a lot of reason to be angry and pissed off, so I'm going to give it to her. But you watch that show and you go, "Oh, this shit could happen," So,
Yeah,
anyways,
it's kind of weird. Like,
are you watching Loki?
No.
Okay,
Loki?
you need to watch Loki because it's about time variance and being on this timeline. And I know it's totally sci-fi. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, Leslie. I
know
the
when
whole
we were talking about different dimensions. She's like, I don't know. You lost me.
It's out.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
gets out there.
Watch Loki and then let's have a discussion about it because
Okay.
I'd love to discuss it with you. So
Okay. Well, we'll see you next week. Do you want to say your tagline?
I will. So thank you, Salon Loose. Let's say that again. Thank you, Salon Sleuth fans and Leslie and April. And we just want to remind you to stay curious, stay suspicious, and stay open.